A long time ago in ancient Japan, a youngster named Kai, who was reported to have been reared by demons, eventually escaped the forest and was located by Lord Asano. The Lord permitted him to live among the samurais despite the fact that it was highly prohibited, since the man decided to adopt him, because he saw enormous promise in the youngster. As Kai and Mika got to know one another better, they finally started falling in love, but they kept their feelings a secret. The youngster quickly develops into a very capable man who goes on hunting trips with his lord. He notices a problem with the monster and tells the lord's right-hand man, Oishi, to stay and catch their target. The samurai, however, tells the soldiers to proceed and refuses to pay attention to someone of such low status. The lord is suddenly knocked to the ground as a huge beast charges towards the crowd. When Oishi notices this, he gives a swift command for everyone to kill the monster, in the process of destroying everything in its path. The beast goes on the attack, and the scouts follow closely after. The warriors try to surround the monster and shoot it with arrows, but nothing seems to work as the monster starts tossing the samurais around like ragdolls and knocking them off their saddles. The beasts, having dealt the party a great deal of damage, attempt to flee by rushing into the forest, but a samurai called Yasuno pursues them while Kai stays right after them. The samurai falls off his horse while attempting to use his sword to slay the monster. When the gigantic creature sees the attacker on the ground, it spins around and charges at him in a rage. When Kai notices this, he rushes to the sword using the monster's momentum. He snatches the blade and stabs it in the monster's heart, killing it as it falls to the ground. Kai extracts the creature's blade and presents it back to the samurai, but Yasuno is outraged by the gesture. She is ultimately saved by a half-breed with no rank. When Lord Asano comes, he observes the beast vanquished and believes the samurai was responsible for its death. He declares Yasuno to be his champion in the upcoming competition and applauds in their nation's honor. Thinking that luck is on their side, Oishi observes that Kai's hands are covered in blood, indicating that he is the genuine killer of the beast as the men start to go. In addition, Kai detects something odd, a white fox with unusually colored eyes, and surmises that a higher power may have planned the attack. The fox continues to change back into a witch who goes by the name Mizuki and tells her lord Kira that Asano is still alive, proving the man's theories to be accurate. After learning that there were casualties during the hunting expedition, Lady Mika, who has since matured into a stunning woman, rushes to the returning party. The woman asks about the injured men as soon as she notices that her father is okay, but Asano is aware that his daughter is only concerned with Kai's welfare. When the woman swiftly visits Kai's remote home, she discovers that the man has left. She enjoys getting hurt throughout the fight. She tries to assist Kai with his wounds, but the guy praises her and instructs her to return to her father right away because she shouldn't be seen with someone of Kai's status. The shogun travels at night to the province of Akko for the forthcoming celebration. As he observes from a distance, Kai discovers Mizuki among Lord Kira's concubines and notes that her eyes are the same color as the fox he previously saw. The samurai dismisses Kai's warnings once again since he doesn't accept the views of someone who was raised by demons. He then travels to Oishi's residence and informs the resident about the witch, who could harm the lord's life. The following day, Lord Kira enters the realm and welcomes Asano, complimenting the province's beauty. However, things rapidly get tense between them when the man disrespects the lord by acting rudely when he begins flirting with Lady Mika. Together they take a seat and start to watch the competition as Kira prepares his fighter for battle. The crowd stares in disbelief at the enormous warrior as he starts to stroll towards the stadium and towering over everyone. Yasuno sees the witch at the same moment as an animal and is manipulated by her spell. When Kai runs up to the samurai, he sees that he is no longer able to compete. The main character dons the samurai armor and hides his face, in order to take Yasuno's place in the competition and rescue his lord from embarrassment. Both combatants prepare for battle by drawing their swords after bowing to the lords. With a barrage of slashes, the enormous samurai starts striking Kai, throwing him backwards with amazing force. As the struggle goes on, Kai is able to hit the opponent numerous times, but he eventually destroys the giant's armor with a katana and is knocked out of the ring, losing his helmet in the process and revealing his true identity. When the shogun enters the ring to resume the fight, he discovers that Kai is a half-breed who is obviously not a warrior. While Lord Asano pleads with the shogun to save the guy's life, he quickly gives the order to kill the man. But Mika jumps in to defend her lover. The ruler storms off in rage, and the samurai from Akko are obliged to take off Kai's armor and start beating him mercilessly until their master passes out. Mizuki uses Kira's blood to conjure a spider after discovering that Asano is mentally troubled as a result of the embarrassments. The lord has a hallucination in which he sees Kira defiling his daughter. So Kira sneaks into the old man's room at night and poisons him with the creature's venoms. The man wakes everyone awake as they attempt to stop Asano from killing the lord by charging into his opponent's room and cutting him with a sword. The shogun sentences Asano to death for attacking the visitor inside his own palace, but he lets him maintain his honor by performing seppuku as the lord's family sobs in the background. The shogun announces Mika and Kira's engagement following Asano's passing in an effort to halt the hostilities between the two households, but only gives her a year to grieve. The king also prohibits Oishi and his soldiers from exacting revenge on Kira, telling them that they are now ronin without masters and that the Lord alone determines their fate. While Mika looks on in despair, Kira promptly exiles the samurais from the Akko area and kidnaps Kai to serve as a hostage and slave. To shatter Oishi's need for vengeance, he then locks him up and places him in cells. The samurai is taken from the underground prison by Kira's men a year later and is promptly taken into refuge by his wife and son. He finds out that everybody has fled the region and that Kai was bought and sold. As soon as the horses are ready, Oishi instructs his son to mount them and ride all day and night until they reach the Dutch islands. As soon as he enters the arena, he notices that Kai is engaged in combat with a terrible foe who is trying to murder the man with each strike. Kai, however, swiftly takes the upper hand and chops the monster across the stomach, ultimately decapitating it to win the battle. The moment Oishi approaches Kai to speak with him, whom the main character accuses of being responsible for Asano's passing, he is attacked. They continue to battle until Oishi points out that Lady Mika is being imprisoned against her will. At that point, the two start battling the slave owners and eventually flee the scene after setting the slave quarters on fire. Oishi informs Kai that Lady Mika would be compelled to wed Kira in a week and that he intends to band together with the other ronins to save the girl and exact revenge on their master's murder. When Kira departs the castle to obtain blessings from his ancestors for the impending marriage, they ride to a secret place where all of his former allies have gathered. He confesses that he aims to assassinate their lord's murderer there. In order to properly arrange their killing, he instructs one of the samurais to ascertain the precise day Kira intends to depart, while the other men go to acquire any accessible weaponry. When they get to the nearby town, they discover that Kira's soldiers have fully fortified it, making it hard for them to buy any swords. The next morning, Kai informs Oishi that there is a different way to obtain weapons for the samurais, but the task requires them to travel into the Sea of Trees with the Tengus, a race of demons. The Ronins had no choice but to ride to the Tengu forest, where Kai led them to a massive Buddha statue. Everyone is instructed to wait outside, with the exception of Oishi, who follows him to meet the demons. No matter what occurs within the cave, Kai instructs the samurai not to draw his sword as they enter. The main character urges Oishi to wait for him here as the two notice many monks knelt in front of the Buddha statue. When Kai enters a smaller cave, a blade is placed in the midst of the space, and another demon approaches Kai to greet him. Kai responds that they are decent men and that their purpose is simply in response to the creature's question about why the main character is aiding those men outside after they treated him so cruelly in the past. Kai accepts this with humility and swears to find Mika in the next life, as the demon continues to demoralize him by telling him that the world has nothing to give and that he will never be with her in this life. When the demon notices the man's tenacity, he orders him to grab the sword if he can. Using their abilities, they both fly towards the blade, but Kai is able to grab the katana before his master and prevails in the duel. Yasuno draws the blade after spotting the demons on the ground, and Oishi turns around to see that his men had entered the temple despite his instructions. With the help of their magic, which renders them impervious to attacks, the creatures started attacking the samurais and killing them one by one. When Oishi notices this, he is inclined to draw his blade, but he resists until all of the samurais have been dispatched because of what Kai previously taught him. Everything turns out to be a hallucination that Oishi created as part of the test that Tengus had him do, and many katanas appear, showing that he had triumphed in the struggle of wills. After receiving their new weapons, they leave the forest and make their way to the farmhouse where the ronins are camped out. One of Oishi's samurai informs him that Kira is departing for the shrines tonight, and Oishi immediately gathers all of his men to kill the lord. As they carefully approach the hay-filled region, they spot the silhouette of their intended victim standing in front of a shrine that is only being guarded by two guys. The samurai is surprised to discover that the person has turned around and is the witch, who then strikes them with fire and sets the surrounding area on fire, engulfing them in flames. Numerous arrows ambush the guys, killing them one by one. As the ronins flee for their life, the enormous golem also reappears and slaughters them. After being defeated, the gang retreats to the farmhouse, where Oishi despairingly wonders what to do next. Kai tries to convince his friend that not all hope is lost because they still have the weapons and the element of surprise. Kai recognizes the opportunity when he sees a group of wedding entertainers approaching Kira's castle the following morning. They halt the performers and seize their costumes with the intention of disguising themselves and approaching the lord to assassinate him. The samurai successfully enter the fortress at night without being noticed by Kira's guards. Lord Kira aims to marry Lady Mika at last while also taking control of Akko as a result. As the samurais perform at the audience to divert the soldiers, they sit in front of the stage and start taking in the spectacle. The ronins take advantage of the chance to get their weapons back and invade the area, ambushing and eliminating the guards covertly. Oishi continues to perform as he approaches the lord, grabbing the hidden blade and charging in for the kill, but the guards block his attack with an arrow. sending the audience fleeing in terror as they become aware of the assassins. As Kira flees, the ronins start attacking the troops, and Mika is taken into the castle to protect her from the arrows. When the samurai's explosive trap engulfs the gigantic golem as he charges the men, it explodes, shattering him into bits. Together with Oishi, Kai starts pursuing Kira as they kill countless approaching troops who are trying to stop the two men. While Kira leaves everything in order to save his own life, Mika manages to elude her kidnapper and flees. After taking out the guards, Oishi rushes in the direction of the Lord while Kai heads to the princess's aid. Finally spotting her boyfriend, Mika makes it out of the building and into the courtyard, where they immediately run to hug. Their reunion is cut short as the witch, who intends to kill them both, materializes in front of them as a ghostly kimono that flew through the air and landed in front of them. As she approaches the couple, the woman starts to change once more, revealing her actual appearance, which resembles a large dragon hovering in the air. The monster launches a vicious attack on Kai, but the guy is able to defend himself and return fire, forcing the beast to briefly escape. As he gets ready to face the dragon to the death, Kai orders Mika to shelter behind the walls. Oishi discovers Kira in the other room at the same moment and starts to attack the man through the walls. As Kira furiously tries to defend himself, the attacker enters the room and continues to hit him, knocking him to the ground. Kira is tackled by Oishi, who then knocks them both against the walls. In a fit of rage, he knocks the Lord to the ground and kicks the man repeatedly until he is rendered helpless. He then grabs the man by the back. Oishi stabs Kira in the heart with the knife his Lord used to kill himself. He then uses one blow to cut off the man's head before bringing it outside to show his allies that they have won the conflict. When the troops see Kira dead, they all submit, and the ronins gaze up at their leader, believing they have at last exacted justice for their lord's honor. In the meantime, Kai keeps striking the dragon in the face, driving it mad and leading it to hurl the concrete pillars at the man. As the warrior splits the elements with the blade, negating the dragon's magic, the beast then summons a stream of flames towards Kai. Kai starts slicing the monster relentlessly in an attacking manner, pushing it into a corner. The dragon grabs hold of the man's katana as he attempts to attack it, throwing him into the air and away from the sword. The dragon then turns its attention to Mika and roars angrily in her direction. However, Kai uses the magic of the Tengu to remove the blade from the ground and rushes towards the dragon. The beast falls to the ground and screams in pain as Kai leaps into the air and stabs it in the head. Then, when the woman breathes her last, the monster starts to change back into Mizuki, as the opposing soldiers bow before them and put down their weapons in submission. The ronins leave the citadel. The samurai return to Akko and are finally able to pay tribute to their lord by laying the knife that murdered Kira at his tomb. When the shogun learns of Kira's passing, he sentences each and every ronin to death. However, he permits them to redeem themselves by executing seppuku in the same manner as their lord because they displayed honor by exacting revenge in accordance with Bushido. Mika sobs as she observes Kai and the other men getting ready for the ceremony. Knowing that she would never again see her boyfriend in this world, she remembers Kai's pledge to look for her in their next life together as she stands on the bridge and scans the horizon. The end. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and like it to motivate me to bring you more stories like this.